The 1930s marked a tumultuous period in global history, a time of rising tensions and complex international relations. While the world watched with growing unease, many prominent figures in industry and business navigated these turbulent waters, sometimes with morally questionable alliances. One such figure was Henry Ford, a name synonymous with American innovation and industrial prowess. Ford's relationship with Nazi Germany remains a controversial and often overlooked chapter in his life, raising challenging questions about the intersection of business, politics, and morality during a time of impending global conflict. The story of Henry Ford's connection to Nazi Germany is complex and unsettling. It begins in Dearborn, Michigan, in 1938. Picture this. Ford, at 75, receives the Grand Cross of the Supreme Order of the German Eagle, the highest honor Nazi Germany could bestow on a foreigner, an award created just a year earlier by Adolf Hitler himself, the first American to receive such recognition. The presentation, made by German consular officials, cemented a peculiar relationship between a symbol of American industrialism and the burgeoning Nazi regime. This wasn't simply a diplomatic gesture. It represented Hitler's personal admiration for Ford. But what fueled this admiration? The answer lies partly in Ford's antisemitic views, propagated through his newspaper, the Dearborn Independent. These articles, compiled into a series titled The International Jew, found a receptive audience in Germany. Published by Theodor Fritsch, a prominent antisemite, these volumes became influential within the Nazi Party. Heinrich Himmler, a key figure in the Nazi hierarchy, even referred to Ford as a valuable fighter for their cause. Hitler himself praised Ford in Mein Kampf, highlighting his perceived independence from Jewish influence. This admiration was no secret. Hitler reportedly kept a life-size portrait of Ford in his office, citing him as an inspiration. He even claimed he would implement Ford's theories in Germany, modeling the Volkswagen after the Model T. The influence of Fordism, with its principles of assembly line production and vertical integration, resonated deeply within the Nazi regime, particularly with their four-year plan for economic expansion. German factories, like the Volkswagen plant, were directly modeled on Ford's Rouge factory, even employing Ford engineers. Historians have grappled with this connection, offering various interpretations. Some see Ford as a Nazi sympathizer, even a war profiteer. Others point to Nazi reactionary modernism, a blend of technological advancement and anti-modern sentiment. Still others emphasize the structural link between Fordism and fascism, arguing that Fordism became a tool for controlling the workforce under Nazi rule. However, Ford's relationship with Nazism isn't a simple one. While vehemently anti-Semitic, he was also deeply opposed to war. He even blamed Jews for World War I, so while he accepted the award, he didn't travel to Germany to receive it. He even publicly stated that accepting the medal didn't equate to supporting Nazism. But his actions remain a stark contradiction, a disturbing juxtaposition of his industrial genius and his troubling ideologies. This complex relationship challenges conventional historical narratives. Ford's antisemitism clashes with his image as a symbol of American progress in the 1920s. It's a historical enigma, a story that continues to provoke questions and unease. It underscores the complexities of individual motivations and the tangled web of international relations during a turbulent era. Delving deeper into this unsettling alliance, we uncover a web of ideological and industrial connections. Ford's antisemitism, prominently displayed in the Dearborn Independent, wasn't merely a personal prejudice. It found fertile ground in a world grappling with economic instability and social anxieties. His words resonated with those who sought scapegoats, fueling a dangerous narrative that crossed borders and continents. In Germany, his writings were embraced by rising figures within the Nazi Party, further solidifying his image as a champion of their cause. Evidence of this mutual admiration is striking. Heinrich Himmler's 1924 letter, praising Ford as a valuable ally, reveals the extent of his influence within the Nazi circle. Hitler's mention of Ford in Mein Kampf, a text that became the cornerstone of Nazi ideology, underscores the American industrialists' perceived significance. These weren't mere mentions, they were endorsements, elevating Ford to a symbolic figure within the Nazi narrative. Beyond ideological affinity, there was a practical dimension to this relationship. The principles of Fordism, with its emphasis on efficiency and mass production, became a model for the Nazi regime's industrial ambitions. The Volkswagen, envisioned as a people's car, drew direct inspiration from the Model T. German engineers studied Ford's methods, adapting them to their own factories. The Rouge factory, Ford's industrial marvel, served as a blueprint for German manufacturing plants, including the Volkswagen factory. This exchange of industrial knowledge further cemented the bond between Ford and the Nazi regime. However, Ford's stance wasn't without its contradictions. He publicly denounced war, even blaming Jews for World War I. Yet, his industrial contributions indirectly fueled the Nazi war machine. This paradox makes his acceptance of the Grand Cross even more troubling. While claiming to reject Nazism, he accepted its highest honor, delivered on American soil. His words of disavowal ring hollow against the backdrop of his actions and the undeniable influence he wielded within the Nazi movement. This incongruity is at the heart of the Ford-Nazi enigma. This complex relationship continues to challenge our understanding of history. Ford, a symbol of American innovation, is also a figure linked to one of the darkest chapters of the 20th century. This duality makes him a difficult historical figure to reconcile. It forces us to confront the uncomfortable truths about the intertwining of industry, ideology, and international relations during a time of global upheaval. It reminds us that history is rarely black and white, but rather a complex tapestry of interwoven narratives, some of which remain deeply unsettling. The image of Henry Ford receiving the Grand Cross from Nazi officials encapsulates a complex historical narrative. It speaks to the strange convergence of American industrial might and the burgeoning Nazi ideology. It highlights the global reach of Ford's antisemitic views and the unsettling appeal they found in pre-war Germany. The ceremony itself, held in Dearborn, adds another layer of complexity. It wasn't a clandestine meeting. It was a public event, underscoring the normalization of these troubling connections. The fact that Ford received the award in America, not Germany, further complicates the narrative. It suggests a degree of caution, perhaps even a recognition of the potential backlash. Yet his acceptance of the award speaks volumes. It demonstrates a willingness to be associated with the Nazi regime, despite his public pronouncements against their ideology. This contradiction lies at the heart of the Ford-Nazi enigma. How could a man who denounced hatred so readily accept an honor from a regime built on it? Ford's anti-war stance, coupled with his blame of Jews for World War I, adds yet another dimension to this complex story. It creates a dissonance between his professed pacifism and his association with a regime actively preparing for war. This internal conflict further muddies the waters, making it difficult to categorize Ford neatly within conventional historical frameworks. Was he a naive idealist, blinded by his prejudices? Or was he a shrewd opportunist, willing to overlook moral compromises for personal gain? The answers remain elusive. This historical episode serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked prejudice and the complex interplay of business and politics. Ford's legacy, once synonymous with American innovation, is now forever tainted by his association with the Nazi regime. His story serves as a cautionary tale about the seductive nature of power and the importance of vigilance in the face of rising extremism. It reminds us that historical figures are rarely one-dimensional, and that even those celebrated for their achievements can harbor deeply troubling beliefs. The Ford-Nazi connection remains a historical puzzle, a testament to the complexities of human motivation and the enduring power of ideology.